Donald Trump is panicking on multiple fronts this morning. Iran has hacked the Trump regime. They got into Trump FBI Director Kash Patel's emails. They've been posting photos of Patel, one of his resumes they posted. Also, Trump is panicking as the United States intelligence services are saying that U.S. and Israel likely only destroyed about 33% of Iran's ballistic missile and drone capabilities. The remainder is unaccounted for and is likely in underground facilities that Iran has easy access to. And that's why Iran continues with its ballistic missile barrages in Israel and the surrounding Arab nations, as well as these Shahed drone attacks. And Trump, from what many people are saying, he's turning his panic into just not even wanting to think about the war anymore. Lots of top White House officials are saying that Donald Trump he obfuscates between, we need to bomb and invade to getting just very bored and doesn't want to even talk about it. And he's losing interest in it and just doesn't find it fascinating anymore. Let's just dig through all of the facts here because there's been a lot of alarming news this morning. So the first big headline, of course, is that the Iranian state-backed Handala Group, their hack team, has breached FBI Director Kash Patel's personal email. They are posting his resume and several older photos of Patel. You can see some of those photos here. There are photos of Patel sniffing cigars, spreading out on a chair, looking kind of weird. And these Iranian hackers are saying, this is just the beginning. You've now been added to our list, and we're going to be releasing more about Kash Patel. And so Patel's probably panicking, thinking, what did I put in my email? What are in my messages? Iran has access to all of my material. Now, MeidasTouch Network viewers, you're probably aware of the Handala Group because the Handala Group was one of the groups that was able to hack into the former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak's email and show connections between Barak and Epstein months and months and months before some of the Epstein files were released. You'll recall last year we reported on the Handala attack of Prime Minister Barak. Dropsite did a really good job on this as well. And that was one of the first times we really got to see that these connections between Epstein and Ehud Barak and other individuals as well, and other world leaders, which of course we knew about, but to see him in the emails there for the first time, lots of connections between Epstein and Putin. Lots of that came out at that period of time. We'll be following if Handala is going to be publishing additional photos and dirt on Kash Patel, but lots of panic happening right there. Meanwhile, GB Galibaf, the head of the Iranian parliament, posted the following message this morning. How can the U.S., which can't even protect its own soldiers at its bases in the region and instead leaves them stashed away in hotels and parks, protect them on our soil? And of course, this is referring to how now the United States has evacuated multiple military bases in the Middle East. 13 military bases have been evacuated by the United States. And American soldiers are now in various hotels there, which Iran said are legitimate targets for Iran, basically the U.S. abandoning those bases. And that's what's being alluded to there, as lots of reporting still says these Marine Expeditionary Units from the U.S. are heading in for this possible invasion of Karg Island, which can be imminent right now. Meanwhile, you had the Iranian president, Pezeshkian, showing up in public today. He's out there visiting stores, and Iranian state regime media is showing that he's walking around and shaking hands with people. And they're purposefully showing this because, the U.S. is saying all of their leadership has been decimated and no one knows who the leaders are. And meanwhile, they're showing footage like this. And is it propaganda? Certainly is. But why are they showing it? To counteract when Donald Trump says they've been obliterated and decimated. They don't have missiles anymore. And they're begging for negotiations. And Iran's like, we are not begging for negotiations at all. We don't trust you in negotiations. If there's to be any negotiations. Our bright lines are we're not talking about our ballistic missiles. We're going to enrich uranium in the future. We're not going to agree to not ever enrich uranium. We control the Strait of Hormuz. You have to guarantee security for Hezbollah and Iran, and we need reparations here in Iran. I mean, that's what Iran said. That's the threshold to even start a negotiation, at least, is what Iran is saying there. By the way, there was footage that emerged today of Iran's soccer team, their national football team, honored the Manab schoolgirls by holding small backpacks during the national anthem. Now, this is the team that Donald Trump said if they showed up at the World Cup in the United States, it may be very dangerous for them, or words to the effect where Trump threatened the lives of the soccer team. And we have our Washington, D.C. bureau, I'm sure you're aware, with Scott McFarlane, who leads it right now. Veteran reporter Pablo Manriquez is out there as well. They've been speaking with lots of members in Congress today about whether members of Congress think it's safe for foreign countries to send their teams, regardless of if it's Iran, just anyone to send their teams to the United States during the World Cup. I'm going to do a video on this later, but lots of members of Congress are saying, we think the United States is too dangerous for you to send your teams right now, and for even people to show up to right now. And as someone living in the United States, I don't disagree with that assessment right now. I mean, Trump has turned this into a deranged fascist country that indiscriminately, at Donald Trump's whim, people are thrown into concentration camps here and detention centers. It is really, really getting bad here. Also, additional data points this morning. India and Russia verbally agreed this morning to resume direct sales of Russia's liquefied natural gas to India for the first time since the start of the Ukraine war, violating Western sanctions. But at this point, Trump is promoting Putin. Trump is a Putin bootlicker. We've always known that. I did a report this morning, all hell breaks loose as Trump surrenders to Russia, right? Because Russia sent its top Duma officials, that's like basically the equivalent of its Senate, here to the Capitol building, where MAGA Republican Congress members and Trump State Department officials gave him tours of the Capitol. They gave him gifts. They walked him around Washington, D.C. as Russia is helping Iran kill Americans and target American bases. The U.S. removes sanctions from Russian oil, Iranian oil, and then invites the Russian Duma officials, who are all U.S. sanctioned as well, to visit the United States and take tours of the Capitol and meet with all these MAGA Republican Congress members. I mean, it's beyond traitorous and treasonous, in my opinion. It goes on to say how the two officials also agreed to further increase crude oil sales to India, which could double from January's levels to at least 40% of India's total imports in about a month. And you'll recall how Donald Trump continued to attack and demean India. He pushed India away from the alliance that the U.S. was building with India over many, many decades, pushed India towards Russia, lifted the sanctions off of Russia. India buys the Russian oil. India has its experience with Donald Trump basically attacking India, attacking the people of India, claiming that he was the one who stopped the war between India and Pakistan. So Trump's basically pissing everybody off at this point. Israeli security officials also say that they believe Iran can sustain its current rate of fire for many weeks, adding that Tehran has enough launchers and teams to spread the attacks over time, and that there's no way Iran's going to be stopping its Shahid drone attacks and its ballistic missile attacks anytime soon. Then, according to Reuters, citing sources with knowledge on the matter, the U.S. can now only determine with certainty that they have destroyed about a third of Iran's missile arsenal. Another third of the arsenal buried underground in these underground facilities that have been targeted in ongoing strikes cannot be counted with certainty as being destroyed. So when Donald Trump's like, we obliterated 98%, no, maybe one third you've obliterated, with another one third being unaccounted for. And, it seems that Iran's able to manufacture these very quickly, while Russia, and I also believe China, is bringing some of these in as well. While Iran retains lots of Shahid drones and ballistic missiles, United States munitions are depleting at a rate that is alarming lots of our top military officials. So the U.S. has fired, latest Washington Post article explains, the U.S. has fired 850 Tomahawk missiles in 4 weeks against Iran, raising Pentagon concerns about the rapidly depleting stockpiles. It was assessed by the American Enterprise Institute that the Navy likely had an inventory of between 4,000 and 4,500 Tomahawks, with only a few hundred being produced every year, while other naval analysts have said the number could be much lower, perhaps closer to 3,000. So if we use close to 1,000 and there's a total of 3,000, that means we may only have a total of 2,000 Tomahawk missiles that are left. And that's also deeply concerning, because if this war rages on, 6 months, a year, we're out of Tomahawks. We may be out of interceptors. We depleted our interceptor reserve for a 3 to 8 year period. That's deeply problematic. And Iran ain't stopping what it's doing. Iran has been blocking ships that are trying to get through the Strait of Hormuz. If they dare try, Iran intervenes, says turn around right now unless you have our permission. I believe they rejected 3 ships over the past 24 hours. And in addition to rejecting those 3 ships, when a Thai container ship attempted to pass and didn't listen to the warnings, Iran blew it up. You see it right here. Iran struck a Thai container ship that attempted to pass through the Strait of Hormuz without permission. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard stated that any such attempt will be stopped immediately. The other ships turned around. This one tried to go. This one got blown up as a result. After damage to a major gas facility in Qatar, Air Gas is now officially cutting its helium deliveries. We knew that was happening. They've declared force majeure. Some customers may get only half their usual supply and face added fees. Helium is critical for hospital MRI machines and for manufacturing advanced chips like those from NVIDIA. And again, we're seeing the markets absolutely tank and crash today on news like this and other news, as it's clear that Donald Trump has no plan. It's the exact same thing as COVID. The time frame is eerily similar. MeidasTouch Network started about 6 years ago, right? This is our 6-year anniversary week. And we started because when Donald Trump was saying all these deranged things about COVID, like a miracle, it's going to go away, bend the curve, by Easter, it's all done. And he was lying, and that's not what happened. And it got worse and worse and worse. Here, same thing, different situation, but same thing, and catastrophic to our economy. The war continues to rage on. And if anything, it's escalating. Donald Trump has no plan. We're running out of military supplies right now. Look at Kuwait's main port. Kuwait main port was hit by likely Iranian drone attacks at dawn today. Things continue to get very precarious. Things continue to escalate. And as I said, the markets are crashing. NASDAQ is in correction territory. The 2, 10, 20-year Treasury yield notes continue to surge. Mortgage rates at record highs. We're in a jobs recession right now. Things are grim economically here as well. And then the Trump regime's pulling crap like this, racist, disgusting crap like this. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth removed 4 Army officers, 2 of whom are black and 2 of whom are women, from a 1-star promotion list. An unusual move that has raised concerns about possible racial and gender bias. You think Army leaders had resisted for months, citing the fact that these officers had strong records and they deserved to be promoted. But Hegseth overruled them because 2 of them were black and 2 of them were women. And if you're like, oh, well, Ben, how do you know that they're doing it for that reason? Well, one, because this is who Donald Trump is. This is who Hegseth is, in my opinion. It should be obvious. But there was also this, as part of the story from the New York Times, they talked about this other incident that took place last summer during a heated exchange between Ricky Burria, Hegseth Chief of Staff, and Army Secretary Driscoll about a separate promotion. Burria chastised Driscoll for selecting Major General Antoinette Grant, a combat engineer who served in Iraq and Afghanistan, to take command of the military district of Washington, said 3 current and former Defense Administration officials familiar with the exchange, with Burria telling Driscoll that Trump would not want to stand next to a black woman officer at military events, the officials told the New York Times. And then Driscoll called that out, and Driscoll made sure that Grant got promoted, but that was one of the incidents there where Hegseth's right hand was basically saying, Donald Trump doesn't want black women generals or black women military leaders to stand next to him. Was what the three sources were saying. Finally, Don, as I mentioned earlier in the video, Donald Trump is apparently getting bored of the war. Trump is getting a little bored of Iran. He regrets doing it, but then he says, I don't want to do this anymore. It just doesn't interest him anymore. He's not fascinated by it. Seriously, you put you destroyed our economy. You put our troops in harm's way. There have been troops who have died. There's been so much death and destruction in the Middle East, whether it's Manab and seeing the 165 girls that you massacred there, in Beirut and Lebanon, the death and destruction you brought. Now you're bored. You're bored? Are you kidding me? And then Israel's opposition leader, Lapid, explains that this is what he said. The government is sending the army into a multi-front war without the necessary means and with far too soldiers. The chief of staff reported to the cabinet this week that the regular forces of Israel are in complete collapse. The army does not have enough soldiers for its mission. That's where we stand right now with everything. We'll keep you posted every step of the way here in the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. Help us get to 7 million subscribers. You may think you're subscribed, but you may not actually be subscribed. So hit subscribe. Help us get to 7 million subscribers.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.